So let's come up with some questions you have. Petra is in London, in the UK. Okay, welcome, Petra. Thank you for joining.
Hello, everybody. Nice to meet you.
So Petra is an ex-lawyer, and she's a fiction writer, a thriller, right? Psychological thriller. She's writing books. Yes. Nathan comes up with a question: what timeframes do you use for day trading, and what times of the day do you trade?
I trade 15 seconds, 1 minute, 5 minutes, and 15 minutes. And if I trade 5 minutes, if I trade 15 minutes or 1 minute, I trade either in the morning or in the afternoon. And 5 minutes and 15 minutes, they go more throughout the day. And I work with alarms. The reason I'm splitting normally morning or afternoon is I do not want to be too long trading, because I can get lost in charts. So I want to avoid that. I want to be, I'm getting tired after a while. And also, I'm still not too comfortable being in a trade when US numbers are coming out, US announcements, and they're in London normally between 1 and 3 o'clock. And so I'd rather be out of a trade before or enter a trade later. And I close out every trade, even the 15 minutes, because the market closes at 10 o'clock in London in the evening, and I do not want to hold a 15-minute trade over the 1 hour gap. And then it's anyway night, and I don't hold a trade overnight. I hope that answered the question.
Maybe you can check for yourself, Petra, in the chat. Like Greg is asking a longer question.
Greg, how many simulation trades? Yeah. Is that the one? Yeah. How many simulation trades did you do before you burned the system into your neurology? Well, I did actually, well, it's hard to say, because the simulation boot camp was 6 weeks, and I started very slowly because simulations was very new to me. So I had 3 simulations per week, which Gabriel recommended, and I had 1 trade per simulation, and it took me hours. So, so that was very slow. But towards the end of bootcamp, I did a couple of trades per simulation. So I can't remember with how many trades I ended up, to be honest. But there were quite a lot. And also I did not only trade my own trades, but I also simulated other people's trades. So I think maybe 70, 80 trades. And then I repeated after bootcamp, I repeated the whole simulations again. Yeah.
And there's another Greg just above the Greg you answered. Greg G. If you look at that.
Oh, yes. Was there any particular question that you asked yourself that made things click for you when you realized it? Yeah, there were actually quite a few things that make click. Once you're in boot camp, there will be a lot of aha moments, what we call aha moments, and these are the real crucial moments. One was, for example, just generally not to haste in simulation, but to take my time, because when we hurry, we make mistakes. So I really slowed down, and it didn't matter how long it took. And also what I did is that when I made a mistake, I repeated that chunk. I repeated the trade until I didn't make the mistake again, and until I understood what the mistake was. And that was a big aha moment. And the other aha moments were where I gained a lot of confidence was also that I was very involved with the blog and with the group. So our trades get posted on the blog, and I've always commented, even if the comment was wrong, because if my comment was wrong, I understood that I didn't understand something. And then Gabriel or other students then said their reason. And that was also a fantastic learning curve, because in bootcamp we get many opinions from us students. And the more opinions, the more views we have on a trade, and the more we see things we haven't seen. So I saw an S1 and I couldn't understand, is there a test bar or not? And then another student explained to me this, and another student explained to me that. So this was also very crucial for me. And then generally later in spring, the mental state and spiritual development. That was for me the biggest game changer. But that's further down the road.
When did that come up? What month do you remember?
Yeah, I think it was that was coming up in March, April, when I did all these overall sideways trades, and I couldn't understand quite right what I did. And took trades with a lower win rate. I took trades with lower quality because I was so pushing all the time. And that's when I started working really on my mental and psychological state. And that was the game changer when I started to take far less trades and trades of better quality.
So that was a couple of months after the workshop, right?
Yeah. That was a couple of months after the workshop. Yeah. Darren, are you successful most weeks already or still learning? I haven't had a losing week for months, I have to say. I reach most months weekly target. I haven't reached weekly target this month. I had 2 break-even trades. But that's okay with me. I'm still learning. But for example, George and Louise, who are here, who did the course with me last year, George has been consistent, I think, for 4 months. And Louise as well. They've been consistent for quite some time. And many others in the group. What is it? Where am I? The time frames. Now. Bernie, what is the volume of trades per annum in futures you're doing with all 3 systems of predominance at this state of your development? Well, I've only started trading the live markets. When was that? At the end of February, beginning of March, because it took me 3 weeks to set up NinjaTrader. And it was relentless. And so since I've changed my mental state and focus on higher quality, I have 1 to 2 trades per week. And normally I do reach weekly target with 1 or 2 trades. And I think I trade mainly S2, but I also trade S1. And I've only had 1 S3 trade so far. That is something, because that's the most discretionary, and I still need to get, more used to it. So I'm looking actually forward to bootcamp to relearn S3 again. Yeah, so I have actually a low number. I have so far I don't have many trades, 1 or 2 a week. I focus on quality and a good setup. How I use alerts. Yeah, this is something actually you would see if you do the live workshop, because then Gabriel will show how to set the alarms. When I do 15 seconds, I don't use alarms. I sit with a trade. Also often with a 1 minute, because that can also be quite fast. I use alarms for the 5 minutes and with the 15 minutes, and I use them for important points. For example, I use them. The test bar has to clear. Prior space. So I use an alarm when there could be a test bar, or I use an alarm before a test bar breaks, or before the break of the base, or I use alarms before break of consolidation high or 1.2R. And we use Fibonacci tools, so we can see when we reach 1.2R, for example. It's quite a strategic process, and if you stay for the Futures Live, you will see with Gabriel how you use it. And in Ninja Trader, for example, we have a stalking list. The stalking list, there's the charts are not connected, and so you can set alarms here, and they do not show up in the other charts. And they work with a horizontal line. And yes, that's. But other people I know, I think Louise, she's also working with phone alerts. Is that correct, Louise? She's also working with phone alerts, and I don't know about George. So there are all types of alerts you can use. I only use Ninja. What is your average time in trade for day trading? Yeah, that depends. If I have a 15-minute trade, that can take hours, but that doesn't mean I stay hours. That means I work with alarms. I put the trade on, I put the alarm, and then I do something else. When the alarm comes, then I go and check. So that is on and off, but I do other work then. That's just next to me. And a 1 hour trade, a 1 minute trade can be finished anything between 30 minutes and 2 hours. And 15 seconds, 30 minutes. But that doesn't mean I only spend this amount of time. I do on Mondays. Every Monday I do the trend scan, which means it's the high time frame analysis. This is after the markets open after the weekend gap. So I look then for at the beginning. It took me 3 hours for the trend scan when I started in March. Now it's much quicker, half an hour or an hour. And I look where I have patterns developed in the high time frames, where there trends, not patterns, where trends in the high time frames, what has the market done, where trends maybe in the mid time frames, and I take already notes on that, or possible trends to develop. And I don't trade on Mondays because I like the market to settle. And I trade Tuesdays. No, my trading days are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. And when I open my trading platform, I look first for trends, and then I look at patterns, and that can take a while. That can take an hour. See where everything is. Sometimes there are several trends and several patterns. So I then put them on a stalking list, or I see, has this a higher quality than the other one? And then maybe I only take a trade an hour later. So that means I can be a couple of hours in a trade. But generally, as soon as I've done a trade, I always quit, because I do not want to overtrade. Whether I have a -1R, a break even, or a winner, I leave the charting platform. And even if I've done, let's say I've reached weekly target on a Tuesday or on a Wednesday, I usually go back into the platforms, into Ninja, just to look and to trade, because for my trader development. I haven't traded for long, so I'm still learning about patterns, about trends, and just to train my eye. So I'm every day on Mondays, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays, between 1 hour to 3 hours. Sometimes only 30 minutes. Depends also on how much time I have. Yeah. What is your weekly target? My weekly target is 2 hours. And my weekly target is 2 hours and to reach 2 hours with 1 or 2 trades.
If I can just step in here for a moment. So
Yeah.
we basically have a weekly hour of 2 hours, right? Stretch goals don't work well in trading. That's a minimum hour goal. And the idea is to reach 2 hour minimum per week with consistency. And if you can achieve consistency, well, just make the numbers 2 hours per week. Well, that's more than 100% per year, right? So when you have achieved 2 hours per week, you can decide to call it a week, right? As Petra does, or you can have another game plan where you say, okay, weekly achieved. Now I go for the moon. Now I go for 10 hours or whatever, right? That depends on your trading game. But the most important thing is to achieve weekly hour goal with consistency, and that's what Petra does really well.
And also, consistency doesn't mean we have to achieve the weekly hour every week, but we achieve it 3 out of 4 weeks. And if we can't do that, then we have a monthly goal, and the monthly goal is 5 hours, and that is also quite good. So that is fine.
But just the idea with consistency is when you are consistent, well, then you can increase your position size. And that is a much bigger leverage, right? Increasing position size than to maximizing the R. This is the idea. Thanks.
It's also, for me, it's also very important to be in a good mental state. I do not want to overtrade. I did overtrade at the beginning of LMP. I was very pushy, and that doesn't become me at all. I make many mistakes. The more trades I take, I personally, the more tired I am. So for me, it is extremely important to be in a good mental state and to be in a good psychological state, and then I can reach consistency, and that is fantastic. And then work with position size, and not with 10R, but with position size, and be in a good place, because we can only trade well when we are well. And every trade takes energy. Every mistake we make takes energy. And this is something I learned a more painful way by overtrading. I mean, it is very tiring. Yeah, and going for lower quality, which means that the win rate is lower, and then that's also psychologically something we have to digest. Yeah. What does your pre-trading how do you? Yeah, pre-trading routine, that is extremely important. That was one thing I've changed in LMP that got me out of this overtrading and into a better mental state. We don't need to preparate for 2 or 3 hours, but what's important with a trading preparation is that we find something that works for us. That's actually the trick. Gabriel gives us many tools. There are many tools we can use, and it's a little bit of a trial and error. What works best for us? And I personally, I love meditation. So I meditate every day, and I meditate every day up to 5 times, between 5 minutes and 15 minutes. I meditate regular. I also, as a preparation, I do a course in miracles, what Gabriel talked about. This is a course where we do little meditation practices that take up about 5 to 30 minutes a day, where we learn how to regulate, how to forget our ego, because we cannot trade with ego. And so I do that every day. And and that is the Dalai Lama in the background. Yeah, I'm a big fan of the Dalai Lama. Yes. And I also I use tapping, and I do parts negotiation. I do charge release, because what trading does is trading brings out negative tendencies we have, all our negative tendencies. And if we deny them, they grow. So if we embrace them, then we can change them. They go away, or we can change them. So I work every time before I trade. I go inside my body, saying, is there any stress? Is there any tension? How do I feel? How do I feel pushy? I'm a little bit nervous. And whatever is there, I that is a little bit jarring. I have to find what's wrong here, and I have to try to find a thing, either through meditation or through a release technique, or to parts where I talk with a part, anything that helps me to calm down and feel very relaxed. And what I also do is, Gabriel does it in a different way. Gabriel has a mind movie. He will show us where he is kind of a booster, a confidence booster, and a relaxation. Is all in one, where we step into our best traders, our best trader selves. And I do that every day 3 times in a visualization process, where I visualize on a screen the trader Petra with all the qualities, the trader, the calm and relaxed and cool trader Petra has. And then I step into this Petra and become this Petra. And I do that regardless of trading every day 2 or 3 times, because that rewires my brain. And I work every week on beliefs. I very much like Byron Katie, which Gabriel recommended to me. I haven't heard from her before. She works with belief sheets, where we turn negative beliefs round and release them. Yeah. I don't want to go too much into all this psychology, because this is maybe a bit overwhelming now. Don't know. Is that the answer to the question? Or was it a bit too confusing? Too much?
I think it's good.
Okay. You stop trading for a week when you reach really, yeah. No, we start every week. We start every week fresh. Every week is a clean week. And also every day. So if I have a -1 hour on a Tuesday, I start the Wednesday clean. But I do not. When I have -3 hour, I stop. Then I'll have to see, is there something? Am I not in a good place? Then I have to think about. But -1 hour next day, if I feel good, or I have a break. Or I have a break of a day. If I don't feel I want to come back. It's actually very, very important is that we feel all the time where we are. Trading is about awareness. It's very much about awareness where we are. And I check in all the time, every 15, 20 minutes, before, during, after trade. Where am I? In which place I am? Am I present? And I'm fully here. Can I let go? Can I let go? Am I attached? Am I attached to this trade? And that is actually very important. So if I feel after a -1 I lost, the next day, no, I'm not in a good place, I do not trade. That was actually something that took me a very long time to learn, is when not to trade. When I started out, I had to take a trade every single time I opened the trading platform. I had to take a trade. It was terrible. Yeah, better if it were two. And now, and this is something we learn. It's a process of letting go, of letting go of low quality, letting go of lower win rate trades, letting go of our egos. I don't have to prove anything to feel good about myself. I feel good about myself if I go for a high quality trade, no matter how many there are per week, 0, 1, or 10. Anything is possible, and I'm prepared for the worst. Be open, be aware, because the market doesn't care about us. The market does what the market wants to do. The price moves however the price wants to move. It doesn't owe me anything. So whenever I go and put a trade on, I have to be aware that the market doesn't owe me anything. I have to take care of myself. So if I don't take care of myself, the market doesn't do it. If I'm not in a good state and I make a mistake, I make myself worse. But the good news is, with more awareness, we start to learn about us. We start to understand how we take what triggers us. And then Gabriel has many tools we can use how to work on ourselves. And the further we progress, the more tailored the tools become. And that is wonderful. So, I mean, I cannot believe the difference how I was a half a year ago and how I'm now. That is, I couldn't have walked away with a break-even trade half a year ago. Yeah, and that's trading is a really, really nice place to learn to become calm and confident. And that's really very nice. Sorry, I'm talking too much. Sorry. Science prosa requires much. Yes, it's waiting. There's a lot of waiting involved. But yes and no, because my Enneagram type is, I'm a type 4 with a 3 wing, and I don't like boredom. When I'm bored, I make mistakes. So what I do is, if I open the trading, if I open the charting platform and I look for trades and I see, is there a pattern? If nothing is coming to me, if nothing is coming to me, I leave it. I go out, I leave it for 1, 2, 3 hours, I leave it for the day, I come back. So I don't stay until I'm bored. So yes, there's a lot of patience, because we have to wait for a pattern to come to us. We cannot force. If we force anything, we make a mistake. It doesn't work. We cannot push anything. And in that sense, yeah, maybe I have to wait another couple of hours to go back and look, maybe, is there another pattern maybe that has developed of a better quality, or another day? So that is, yes. And disappointment, I wouldn't say disappointment, but Gabriel always said trading is frustration management. And so Louise has a laugh, yeah. Yes, trading is frustration management. Yeah, we can be ticked out by one, we can be stopped out by one tick. I go to the kitchen, I make a cup of tea, I come back, and in the 15-second chart, 2 minutes before the entry triggered, I can't take it anymore. The trade ran off without me, and 10 minutes later, it made 4R. So disappointment is not very good, because disappointment is a little bit charged. But yeah, it's frustration management, and that's what we learn. We learn in trading We learn actually in trading how to deal with situations that are not going our way, because the market can go in whichever way it wants to go. And also, I need to have a cup of tea sometimes, or I need lunch. So I miss a trade. So we have to learn that there are patterns all the time coming up. If I miss a trade, it doesn't matter. So trading is learning how to deal with situations that do not go our way, and we can learn it. And the beautiful thing is that we actually learn that we have a choice. It's not about reacting to the market, but responding in the market to the market in a healthy way that does not involve us emotionally. And so, yes, this is frustration management, but from frustration management in a healthy way. This is covered. What is really meant by 15 seconds of 1 minute? That is when 15 seconds means is a chart where every 15 seconds a bar is made. In a 1 minute chart, every minute 1 bar is made. And so, for example, if we look for a trend, for example, an EMA trend in the 1 minute chart, an EMA trend is 30 bars long. So we need in the 1 minute chart 30 bars. Did I explain that? Well, okay. How do you control mental state? This is an ongoing process. I think this is probably too much to talk about in this place here. This comes later. I think this is a step-by-step process. So first we learn the rules, and then we execute. We learn how to flawlessly execute and learn how to recognize patterns and trends in boot camp. And then later on, we start working our mental state. We cannot do that from day one. This is a step-by-step process. So that comes further down the road with tools such as beliefs work, parts negotiation, release, charge release, finding out unuseful beliefs, meditation techniques, breathing techniques. For example, the group talks. Our group is a meditation, isn't it? Our group is a form of healthy meditation when you talk with each other and when we exchange views. So there are many techniques, but that is coming further down the road. And this is the thing where we have to find out what works for us. Something that works for me that may not work for somebody else. This is very, very individual, and this is a trial and error. When stalking high quality trades, as you build your list of possible trades prior to entering, how are you collecting possible dates traded to consider one? Yeah. Right. Quality. Right. This is actually something we start learning in boot camp, where we evaluate trades, where we evaluate the connection between patterns and higher time frames, and where we know no trade is perfect. So there's always a negative and positive, and we have to learn how to evaluate those. This is not something we know from the beginning. And this is something also experienced traders and novices like I in boot camp, we all had to learn that. For example, a weaker trend needs a strong test bar as a springboard. And you counterbalance that. So that only comes with doing simulation trades in a safe environment, with studying in screenshots, simulating other trades, and looking at the patterns, how they develop. This comes with experience and by doing it, yeah. And then it also, when the live market comes, this is true. I can have, for example, in several trends and several patterns, that is also confusing at the beginning. And that also needs experience, because the live markets, they work a little bit differently. There's also more data coming in, and that can only be built up over time. That is why we only start later when we are in the live markets, going for consistency, because at the beginning we need to learn how to evaluate trades. And I use actually paper. I have a piece of paper in front of me where I put down pros and cons. Yeah, and this is something I do. Do you still hear me? Am I breaking up? Can you all still hear me? Yeah. What I use is, even for the 15 seconds trades, I never go into a trade if I'm not able to put 4 or 5 pros and cons down. Let's say 2 pros and 2 cons. If I don't have time to put that down on a piece of paper, if I have no time to draw the line or to draw the box, I do not enter a trade, because that means I haven't had time yet to think about it or to let my intuition come through. I never open anything and jump in. I have to be able to take notes. And this is at the beginning something you have to learn. The 15 seconds charts was very fast for me. I was shaking. I was basically shaking like this at the beginning. So I didn't take any trades. So I was watching it for some time. Gabriel advised me. I was watching it for some time. And then only when I was able to write down, when I was that calm, did I actually take 15-second trades. The EMA trend is quite helpful when we can actually have in the charting platforms, we have an EMA indicator. That's a vertical line, and that indicates 30 bars. So we can see 30 bars backwards. And that is a very, very big visual help. Yeah, this is something that comes with experience, how to balance positive and negatives. And also with higher time frame, for example, is there in a higher time frame, is there a big resistance level? Is there a 200? This is something that comes by simulating trades and by putting trades on in safe demo mode in the live markets. We have to do it. When you do it, you will then understand price action. You have to do it. And by studying, I'm still studying screenshots. I had, for example, last week, I had a review week where I didn't trade. And I was going back and studying screenshots and higher time frame analysis. I still do that because we have to rewire our brain. We have to build a visual pattern library. So then when patterns come up, that we can draw back. Having said that, every pattern is unique. So you have to be careful with that. Have I not very happy? Yeah, the psychology is very interesting because it's what Gabriel said at the beginning, and Louise and George can confirm that it changes our lives, isn't it? It doesn't just change trading; it changes everything we do. Psychology, and it's really wonderful. And I was amazed because I was I've been meditating for many years, for 20 years. I was always into self-work, but trading pushes our buttons in a different way. Then we cannot deny any negative tendencies. So we actually have a chance to work on some things we could before maybe neglect a little bit. And so we learn our choices in life become much clearer, much calmer. And it's really wonderful. That's really great. What would you do differently? Yeah. I was actually thinking about that today, what I would do differently this year. And there's absolutely one clear answer. I would relax. I was pushing really hard until spring, and there is no need to push, absolutely no need to push, because we will make mistakes. I'm still making mistakes. We all make mistakes, and nobody punishes us for making mistakes. There is nobody tells us off. It's the opposite. We make a mistake, we see it on block. Another student says, I did the same. Another person says, I did that. Another person says, oh, I didn't even realize that was a mistake. And so it's the absolute worst thing that can happen is that we learn. And that's the worst thing that can happen. And so I would have been in the same place as I'm now, but with much less stress and just relax into the process, because Gabriel knows exactly how to move us forward, and he moves us step by step forward, and he works with a group, and he gives you exactly in the right moment the next tool, and you just have to follow the process. And there is no reason to get stressed about mistakes or anything. You just follow the process. And the more you relax, the more fun it is, because it is really fun. When you're relaxed, it is fun. And then it's really awesome. And it's not just Gabriel, but also the group. The group is helping so much, because we are all in the same boat, and that is really wonderful. But if I could change one thing, it's just relax. Yeah, because we can. What else? Why do I like turtle over gecko? Yes, I like harmony. I like symmetry. You haven't seen or maybe you have seen the turtle yet. You will see it tomorrow. It's a harmonic shape. And for some reason, I mean, I struggled a long time with it. I only really understood the turtle in March, I think, or in April. It took me a long time. I was missing something, and I couldn't understand the harmony properly. But once I understood the harmony, it's a very fine pattern. I'm not saying the gecko is not nice. I trade the gecko as well. It's just I can see a turtle. I can just see it, and it's yeah, and it has a very nice little rebound, and it's a very balanced, and then has a test bar, and then it just trails off slowly, and it suits me. It's a Chandler approach. What would you say, Gabriel?
Yeah, it's a very subtle and powerful pattern. Yeah.
Yeah. Though I like the gecko a lot, but that's why. What was the attraction to such short time trading for? Yeah. Well, I didn't trade the 15 seconds at the beginning. I traded 1 minute to 15 minutes, and I was comfortable. I was comfortable with the 1 minute from the beginning. And the reason why I like the 15 seconds is, or why I wanted to learn is first of all, I wanted to be open, because like Gabriel, I do not want to be stuck on one time frame. So I have now 3 time frames with 3 systems and all these symbols. So I have more opportunities. So that was important for me. And the other reason is I'm also a writer, so I like intuition. And I don't know whether Gabriel or Luis or George can confirm it, but the 15-second charts moves quicker. And so in a way, I have to take in quicker the overall picture. And I can do that with intuition better. I see the pattern, and I see, so my intuition comes more out. And this is also one reason why the mental state has to be really balanced, because my intuition can only develop when I'm in a good mental state. If I'm nervous, my intuition freezes up. I can't be open. And so what would you say, Gabriel? I think the 15 second is a more overall picture, maybe more intuition. What do you think?
Yeah, well, the lower the time frame, the more important is the mental state, right?
On the mental state, yeah.
Can get stressed quickly if the charts move quickly, obviously, and yeah, intuition is and yeah, you need to apply a little bit more discretion, right, on the second chart, because the patterns are not always that well developed, because of the market noise plays in a little bit, right?
Yeah, this is also something I like. I like discretion. I like to have a little bit discretion when it comes to a setup that suits me, and that's where my intuition is coming through. And the S2 is a little bit more discretionary than the S1, and also the 15 second is a little bit more discretionary. That's I like that. Yeah. What prompted you start the journey? Yeah, this is very easy to answer. I had no idea about trading, so I watched a friend of mine suggested to me, you would be a good trader, and I thought, I don't think so. I have no idea. And he said to me, why don't you trade? Why don't you read Market Wizards? And I said, what's that? And so it was in first lockdown. And so I read Market Wizards. And I thought, oh, these are interesting people. You know, this is not like Wolf of Wall Street. They were a bit different, these kind of traders. And talked a lot of trading psychology. And I said, this is something very different. And then Dr. Van Saab wrote a chapter in Market Wizards. And so this is how I came across Dr. Van Saab. And then I started in May 2020 watching the free Monday webinars. And I was really attracted to Dr. Van Saab because he works with NLP. And I've used before NLP in writing, NLP strategies and psychology in writing. So I did the free webinars. And at some point, Gabriel came on and introduced his futures trading system. I had no idea what futures is. I had no idea. I just like Gabriel, and I liked the look of his systems. And so I said, okay, I have no idea about that. And then that was in September 20. And then I did the peak home study course over the winter. In order to sign up to Gabriel's future trading course in September 21. And I started the futures trading just with the pre-material. This is what a future is. And I said, aha, that's how I came to futures trading. And yeah, I really like it. It really suits me. As a novice, when did you start? Yeah, I did trade the sniper in boot camp, and I very much liked sniper. I didn't trade. Yeah, I traded. I love trading the sniper in boot camp, but in the live market, the live market moves. The live market moves a bit quicker, and in sniper, the stop is very, very tight. So we can be stopped out easily. And I'm at the moment still more interested in being consistent than in a trial mode. So for now, I only trade S1 and S2, where the stop isn't that tight. And I'm looking forward to bootcamp where I can trade the S3 again, because then I want to start actually trading S3. At the moment, I concentrated on that and on trading psychology and being consistent. Yeah. You did the home study before ever putting on a trade. I don't think so, because Louise now was in a is in a super trader program. You're still in a super trader. Have you finished, Louise? And Louise hadn't put a trade on before Gabriel, and she worked for the super trader program. Am I correct, Louise? You put a trade on before? Ah, okay. Yeah, so that's how I did it. I actually spoke to Gabriel, and before I started futures trading, and actually congratulations, Louise. And Gabriel said you can do it both ways. You can do first the super trader program and then start trading, or you do the peak home study course, start with Gabriel, and then learn more about mental state and psychology while working with Gabriel. So I did it this way around. But I found it very helpful to do the home study course, and I'm doing the home study course a second time now. Where was I? When you say discretionary, what does that mean? A rule override? Yes, discretionary is, for example, yes, it is a rule override. For example, when we have an EMA trend, an EMA trend has 30 bars where the EMAs are in correct order, but further down, we can have a little bit discretion. For example, we can have a small crossover of maybe 3 or 4 bars, but that is coming further down the road. So this is, for example, a discretionary override when there's a crossover earlier on, and I can decide, do I take this, do I accept this as an EMA trend or not, for example. No, the entry point is, I don't really use discretion with the entry point. I use the 2 mouse principle. We've learned with Gabriel, that means, for example, in system 1, a break of base and break of test bar. Yeah. Because I think it's very important that for example, in a long trade, that the bulls have to show strength. So I wouldn't go in. I don't think it's wise to go in early. Do you find there's a particular time in which? No, this is the beauty with trading the futures, because we are traders from all over the world. And it's a 24-hour market, and it doesn't matter whether you sit in Australia or in Asia or in Europe or in America. The trends and the patterns come up. George's son. The trends and the pattern come up all the time. It doesn't matter. That's why we can all trade them. They develop anytime. Any more questions? I think
okay. Very interesting questions.
Thank you very much for the questions, and I hope I could help. I hope my answers were clear. I hope so.
It was very good. I think it was very well received as well.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your listening to me. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Petra, taking your time.